Hello heroes, Joe Smith here. You know, most of you, or those of you that have been following Joe Smith for some time here, know that Joe Smith has been a volunteer first responder and a search and rescue member with Hardin County East Squad in Iowa, back in Iowa, and then has helped out a lot here in Benton County, Arkansas, with car accidents and stuff over the years, and a couple fugitive search operations conducted by the Benton County Sheriff's Department here in Benton County, Arkansas. That being said, Joe Smith here is a fan of law and order and following laws and doing things right, and that's why Joe Smith here calls all you heroes and part of the hero nation, because you're all law-abiding citizens that do things right and help other people when other people need help. And Joe Smith here has been friends and worked with police, law enforcement agencies over the years, but at the same time, more recently, past few years, there's been a few instances when Joe Smith here was a victim of local law enforcement breaking the law or not doing things correctly. Guess that's up to a court to decide whether or not they broke the law. It's just kind of Joe Smith's opinion, but don't believe they done things correctly and think they may have violated law, violated Constitution, stuff like that. But it just kind of breaks Joe Smith's heart here to see police breaking law, not doing things correctly, or violating the Constitution. You know, back 2020, BLM and the left were protesting police. Most of the instances that they were protesting, Joe Smith here thinks that the police were actually in the right for the most part, from what Joe Smith here has seen in videos. But lately, been seeing a lot more videos online where police were actually violating constitutional rights, breaking law, or being abusive, and courts, state police, and FBI have even made arrests in these different police officers. And courts have awarded lawsuits against them too. I'm going to show you one here and might actually turn this into a series. And this is really disturbing too. The police officer tased this guy like half a dozen times in front of his wife, in front of his little kids, and even tases in his, well, man parts. The video uses a different word, but not trying to get banned by YouTube again for using anatomically correct terminology. So we're just going to say man parts, and you're going to be surprised what happened, why it happened, why the police officer tased him half a dozen times and tased him in his man parts.
For years, it was an abusive force kept quiet. Until we got the video and broke the story.
Get your hands up right now. Get your hands up right now.
A 2017 traffic stop. Glendale officers tasered a man nearly a dozen times in front of his children.
Get in front of the car right now. Get in front of the car.
Okay, sorry, misspoke. It was nearly a dozen times, not half dozen, nearly a dozen times in front of his children.
And according to a lawsuit, Officer Matt
Little boy, the cops are like yelling at the little boy to get back in the car. The little boy's crying because his daddy is in pain being tased over and over and over again. And you won't believe why.
Schneider delivered the final tase to his testicles.
Yeah. Joe Smith didn't use that word. The TV news, ABC 15 Arizona, used that word. But yeah, just heard it right there. Was tased in his man parts. They got his shorts pulled down and tasing him in his man parts.
As he was handcuffed, laying face down on the black.
While he's handcuffed, while he's laying face down on the asphalt. On a really hot day.
Top on a 108-degree day.
Yeah, 108-degree day. You need to go back and play that again?
As he was handcuffed, laying face down on the blacktop on a 108-degree day. An accident? Well, here's another tase threatened with the stun gun placed on his groin. It's one of the most sadistic cases outside experts told us they'd ever seen. But this story isn't about the abuse of force. It's about what happened behind the scenes.
And you want to know what led up to this? What did this guy do? Was this guy a drug dealer? Did he have like a dead hooker in his trunk? Was he a suspected murderer? A bail jumper? A bank robber? What did this guy do? What did this guy do to have all these cops there tasing him in his man parts while he's handcuffed on the asphalt? This guy must be like a really sick dude or something, have all these cops there doing that. He must be like a murderer. He must have killed children or something. What did he do to deserve all these cops there to have him face down on asphalt? That's probably 140 degrees if it was 108 degrees outside. Handcuffed and tasing him in his man parts. What did this guy do? Oh, here's what this guy did.
Just looking at the video, alright, I mean, you can't see through that bottom level, alright? Explain to me how the signal, how you could have seen the signal from where you're at.
The angle looks horrible. I'm not gonna lie. Now, obviously, you know, watching this, yeah.
In case you're not sure,
Yeah, it's not possible.
and here comes the cop there.
The violation.
In fact, his own body camera footage shows he's in the back alley at least 16 seconds before turning the corner.
Honest to God, I really believed the day that it happened that I saw the no signal. I don't have any explanation.
So, this is why the guy was tasered nearly a dozen times, including in his man parts, on 108 degrees day, on probably about 140 degree asphalt, well cuffed, face down on the asphalt by several police officers, because you can see the car on the right and then the police car coming around the building on the left there, starting to. This happened at Motel 6 parking lot. The cop stopped the guy in the parking lot for not using his blinker before he backed into that parking space.
For this camera angle, I really don't.
In the end, Schneider was
Not to mention, let's go back here.
Signal. I don't.
Not to mention the car here that's like taking up 2 spaces that's parked over the line. You know, when you want to give someone a ticket in a parking lot, give that jerk off a ticket for parking over the line there. But no. The cops do pull this guy over and tase him in his man parts and tase him multiple times in front of his family for not using his blinker in a Motel 6 parking lot. Yes, that's correct. Not using his blinker in a Motel 6 parking lot.
The most sadistic cases outside experts told us they tased to his testicles.
Yeah.
Right now. Get in front of the car. Come on.
And according to a lawsuit, Officer Matthew Schneider delivered the final tase to his testicles.
For not using his blinker in a Motel 6 parking lot. When the cop was on the other side of the building, he couldn't have even seen him if he used it or not. But regardless, it's private freaking property. You don't have to use your blinker in a freaking parking lot. Good news though. After this ABC 15 affiliate in Arizona there broke the story 2 years ago, which happened, the original incident happened in 2017, they said, but local ABC affiliate, ABC 15 there in Arizona, broke the story in 2020, 2 years ago. Since then, the state police and the FBI have investigated, and the officer that stopped the car in the Motel 6 parking lot and tased the driver over and over, including his man parts in front of his family, resigned and gave up his law enforcement license.
Don't have any explanation for this camera angle. I really don't.
In the end, Schneider was disciplined, but just for his use of force. In the final suspension paperwork in his personnel file, there is nothing about the unseen turn signal violation.
Right, with no sort of standard.
It's exactly the type of thing defense attorneys fear. So we have 1,400...
Yeah, see? Turn signal violation. That's how this all started. Turn signal violation. We're not using your blinker in a freaking parking lot. Not freaking kidding here.
Cases were never opened, swept aside, minimized. Plus, after...
In other words, taking an officer's word over video evidence.
A lying cop is extremely dangerous because that officer will routinely come into court, look the judge in the eye, look the jurors in the eye, right, and lie.
Listen, you'll have your day in court, buddy.
And the problem is that the public, who make up the jury, and even judges, right, they want to believe the officers, okay? They want to.
Now, there's no way to put a number on this problem. No way to know how many cases were never opened, swept aside.
Maybe it's back a little further here.
Other Motel 6 camera allegedly showing the blinker violation. Apparently, the officers never went back or used their body camera to record the screen at that time.
And you guys weren't able to get that video?
Yeah.
No,
See?
we asked her.
Not lying.
She says she told us.
Blinker violation,
Finally,
Motel
in
6
the
parking lot.
highest-ranking opinions, a commander and assistant chief ensure findings against Schneider won't be sustained. The video obtained does not prove or disprove what Schneider observed while the vehicle turned into the parking lot, or failed to signal.
Dangerous because that officer...
Have your day in court, buddy.
I opened a criminal investigation. Federal prosecutors are
Okay, here it is.
Well, after our investigation exposed what happened in this case, the FBI opened a criminal investigation. Federal prosecutors are still considering charges, and the State Police Board opened a case leading Schneider to voluntarily forfeit his license to be an officer. Our full disclosure investigation continues tomorrow at 6:30. It's a story showing how...
So, yeah. So, luckily, the dude gave up his license to be a law enforcement officer after tasing this guy multiple times, including his man part, on a hot asphalt parking lot on a hot day in Arizona for not using his blinker in a Motel 6 parking lot. When the cop was on the other side of the building and couldn't have even seen if he used it or not in the first place. So you want to talk about bad cops? There you go. There's a bad freaking cop. F those bastards. It's been Joe Smith signing out.